think outside of the box. It's not always, hey, how many people are listening to the audio? It's how many people are you reaching, potentially interviewing people who could be good clients of yours, right? Like, and then from a local standpoint, I encourage you to do it. Local podcasts are the easiest to get sponsors. It's the easiest to make money off of because you're super niched in. There's a guy who has a podcast that's based around Salt Lake and he makes 6 figures on advertising, but his downloads aren't massive. Like he's not doing massive numbers, but it's about that niche demographic of advertising.
We have the superpower as filmmakers to get into almost any room with the thing that we can do. And then if we're doing that thing that we do for that client, then all of a sudden we're being put in front of potential clients. So like, what the heck? What are we doing? Thinking like, oh, it's just too hard to find work and I can't find clients. It's like, man, consider getting into some rooms.
The old way no longer works. And so you have to get creative. And what's that tool for you? What is your vehicle is a question that I ask a lot of people. Mine happen to be podcasting. Is yours social media? Is yours blogging? Is yours writing a book?
On episode 453 of the podcast, we're talking about why curiosity is your superpower when it comes to building relationships and growing your business. We also talk about why most podcasts fail because people expect instant success, but it's actually the greatest networking tool of all time. My guest talks about this, but I am in complete agreement. And maybe after this show, this isn't a call to start a show, but just hear us out. And then finally, we talk about how you can get into almost any room as a filmmaker by offering your services in exchange for access. Could be a complete and total game changer. All that and so much more in this episode. What is up, friend? Hey, welcome to the Grow Your Video Business podcast, where I help you turn your creative skills into sustainable business success. And if I've helped you, let me know. If you've never reached out, it's fun. It's fun. I just recently had somebody reach out who said something to the effect, I've been listening to your show, following along for 9 years, and have never said hi or thanks. So cool. Thanks for saying thanks. But if that's you, then hit me up, bruh. Okay, I would love to hear from you. So thank you. So if you are building, if you're working on like, how can I make more money in this video production business? How can I enjoy the work? How can I hire somebody to help? Because I'm like overloaded with all the things. AI is taking all of our jobs. What do I do? If any of this resonates, you're in the right place. You're in a safe spot. I will say that our business, my production business, has been, since COVID, it has been a roller coaster. We've booked $80,000 projects, $100,000 projects, and no projects. It has been so wild. And I know a lot of people can resonate with that. We're finally having the best year that we've had since before COVID. And that feels really good. So I know the world is still, it's just crazy. And I don't know, is it going to slow down? Is it going to get normal, whatever? I don't know. I don't have those answers, but I do know some things that we're doing that are working. And if you're new here, welcome to the fold. This is a place where I believe in abundance. I believe the complete opposite of scarcity. And what I found when I started this show 9 years ago, there was a tiny part of me that was a little bit like, man, what if I start sharing some of my secrets on how we hit $1 million in revenue? Will that mean that I'm not going to hit it again? Because now there's more people that can compete at the level that we're competing. And what I found, 2 things. One, an incredible amount of fulfillment in sharing just all of the things, the dirt, the strategies, and helping other people in this work. That's been incredibly fun and fulfilling. And I can't say it's been true over the last 5 years, but this brand launched in 2016, and my business just grew and grew year after year until COVID, and then we had a lot of struggles and all of the things. So my point is sharing, growing together, helping you not feel like you're on an island and just like there are other people going through similar struggles that you are. Like you don't have to do this on your own. So I'm here to introduce you to me, but also to a lot of other people that are in my ecosphere. So welcome. I'd love to invite you to check out a free workshop I've got another new thing launching soon. But if you're not on my email list, you can get on it by checking out this free workshop at studiosherpas.com/workshop. I'm touring the country, sort of, but I am going to hit some major cities. The next one up is Austin. So if you're in Austin area and you want to say hi, let me know. I'll be messaging people on when exactly I'm going to be there and how we can hang out. So that would be fun, and all sorts of other stuff. So check it out, studiosherpas.com/workshop. I've kind of jam-packed my 20 past years of what has worked in my business and put that in a workshop format for you to watch, enjoy, apply. Whatever doesn't stick or doesn't resonate with you, then just ignore and pretend like everything I said was amazing. Okay, let's get on to my amazing guest today. Speaking of amazing, I'm super excited about this. And seriously, no pressure about like starting a podcast, but I will say like the ability that most of us have, because a lot of us are doing interviews, and as a business owner, you're having a lot of conversation with people in business. So like you are doing these things anyway, and there might be a way to do this without adding a lot of stress or complexity to what you're already doing for lots of magical things to happen. Okay? All right, let's get into the episode. Here we go. What's up, friend? Hey, welcome to another episode of the show. Today, I'm with Mr. Justin Schenck, who is founder of Growth Now, two of the dumbest guys in the room. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Dude, Ryan, man, thanks for having me, dude. I'm excited to see where this goes. We were just talking about how we're proud to be the dumbest guy in the room. And so now we're going to lead this conversation, and hopefully we say one or two things that actually resonates or makes sense for somebody.
And Justin did set some proper expectations. He said this is either going to be the best interview you've ever done or the worst interview you've ever done. So prepare thyself. Okay, Justin, what... You're in a podcast. You've been doing this for a long time. You host in-person event. I almost came to Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, man. You should have came. It was, dude, so obviously Angie is a person that we both know, and she was there. And, I did this thing at the very beginning of my live event where, you come out on the stage, and it's held in a theater in Westchester, Pennsylvania, about 30 minutes outside of Philly. And I came out on the stage and said my little spiel, and I was like, just out of curiosity, stand up if you've been on my podcast. And half the room stood up.
Wow.
And for me, I was like, wow, that's crazy, right? And I realized how high level the room was. And obviously, look, speakers are cool. And I really pride myself on curating an incredible speaker lineup. But the most important thing about any live event is showing up and building strong relationships with and then take it wherever it goes from there, right? And like my favorite thing, my first event I ever did was 2019. And I still see people collaborating from back then and friendships from back then. But here's the thing I want to say. Like, I started my podcast 9.5 years ago. It's called the Growth Now Movement. And honestly, the word movement happened by accident because I had a business and a business partner back in the day, and we went with Growth Now seminars or things that we did. And I was like, well, the podcast can't be called Growth Now Seminars. Let me come up with something else. And I was like, I don't like Growth Now podcast. That's like having the word television show in the title of a TV show. Like, it doesn't make sense for me. And so I was like, what about movement? That sounds cool. Growth Now Movement. I kind of regret it now because everybody always messes up the name and so on and so forth. But when I asked that room to stand up if you've been on the show, and half the room stood up, we're talking about people who bought tickets, wanted to be in the room, wanted to be a part of this. I was like, that's the movement I've been talking about. And we're talking almost a decade in. Yeah. Like, to me, that is crazy. And so, obviously continuing to build on there. So hopefully you'll be there next year.
Dude, for sure. And I'm not even going to make excuses here, but I remember that the window was very small for me. I think I was at something right before that event, and I was just like, I can't. I've got that's it. We don't need to talk about this. Do you have family?
I do. I have a wife and 2 stepkids.
How old are the kids?
About to be 15 and 12.
Okay, so when I started my business, 20 years ago, I had a couple of goals. I wanted my wife to not be able to have to work if she didn't want to, so that when we had kids, and she really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. She wanted to raise our kids. And so we did that. And I just realized, I'm not going to share my sob story, but growing up, my parents got divorced when I was 12. We lived with my dad. So when, 12 years old, middle school kid, awkward, whatever. My dad worked midnights. So he'd sleep during the day. He'd have a little window in the evening, but usually he's like, we're having dinner, and then he's off to work. So for me to, I just had these desires to like, I want to be a good dad. I want to be around. I want to be able to pour into my kids. I want to go to all their events and all these things. So there was a window when I first launched my business that I was going to all of the networking events and doing all of the things. And then as my kids got, they were like a little bit older, I started my business at home. So I got to see all of the first steps and hear the first words and like be there. But I can look back over 20 years of running a business and say, man, I limited or almost cut out networking. And I'm a people person, man. I'd like put me in a room. I want to know everybody. I want to hear their stories. I want to connect. I want to pour into. I want to be poured into. But I did that intentionally. And I know I've looked at other people and their businesses have flourished and they've done all these things, and then their life crashes because they weren't able to do the dance. And there have been parts of my business where I'm like, wow, we almost crashed here. We almost crashed there. We almost crashed there. And I could say part of it is due to the fact that my family was the most important thing. I don't even know how I'm getting on this like tangent here.
No, you're good.
But as my kids are getting older and they don't need me or want me around as much, I'm able to do, more events and do things. But back in the day, I would have been like, oh, dude, like, yeah, I'm going to that thing, doing that thing, that my wife would be like, oh yeah, it'll be nice to see you. Like, like come home, please. But I love that we had kids. I love that I've been able to be available most of the time. But it's just like setting intention and having a vision and an idea of what you want. I think that was really helpful for me early on because I had people in my life that were, I think, guiding me toward making better decisions than probably I would have made on my own. And then also my backstory, my origin story of like this hole that I had in my heart that I'm like, no, I'm not going to be, I'm going to be around. I'm going to be available. I want to, and I'm grateful that I've been able to do that in a lot of cases. I don't know if my kids really care, but that's not for them.
They will, right? Like, I think the thing is, and it's so profound what you said, obviously a number of things, right? It's about building the life that you want. And that's something that I talk about all the time. Like I work 2 to 3 hours a day max, and I don't normally work on Fridays. Yeah. And I've just designed, and it wasn't always like that. Don't get me wrong. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to work 2 to 3 hours a day, right? I've gotten to a point where I've designed my life and my businesses around this format of like, I don't want to be working all the time. Yeah. I want to go to my stepson's track practices. I want to go to my stepdaughter's plays. I want to be able to be there. Now, do I travel? Yeah, of course. I speak and I have my mastermind where we meet up a couple of times a year. Yeah. And I make sure I show up and support friends. Like, tomorrow I leave for New York to go. My buddy's doing a live podcast interview in New York City with Sheamus from WWE, if anybody's a WWE fan. And so like I'm going and supporting him. So that's a night away. But at the same time, like I'm really intentional. Like I think the word networking becomes cringe a lot of times, especially for guys like you and I who are have been around before the age of networking through podcasting, which by the way, greatest networking tool of all time. Oh my gosh. Like all of these things, but like it becomes cringe. Like, oh, here's my business card, do business with me. I worked for the Chamber of Commerce at one point, and so it really became dirty and gross. And for me, it's about intention. Like if I see an event that's happening and I go, oh, I've wanted to know that person who's speaking, or I've wanted to know those people who I just saw are going. I make sure I put it into my calendar and go, hey, I'm showing up. Whether it's to support the guy running the event, support the girl that I know speaking, or to be like, hey, that person I want in my network, or that person I want on the show, right? Before you weren't, I think you had already left, but the event that you spoke at that kind of connected us, I showed up. I happened to be in Orlando while that event was happening, and I popped into the room like the last 2 hours that the event was going on, and I felt bad because I'm like, I didn't buy a ticket. Like I was like, is Tara gonna be mad if I just show up? I show up, and literally, dude, like. I was there for 15 seconds. Yeah. A woman walks up to me. Her name's Lauren Cobello. And she's like, hey, Justin, I heard I needed to meet you. Do you want to interview Kurt Angle? Yes. Like that's the importance of being in the room, right? Like you don't know who's going to be there. And it's not necessarily networking to me. It's relationship building. And I'm pretty good at finding out like who's the person I want in my space, like read the energy, what's their intention, what's going on here. And a lot of times people like they want to meet me because they want to be on my show, right? They want to guest on my show because I have a decent reach. And what I like about you is I've sent you my calendar already. You still haven't booked, which means that's not your intention. But we'll send that calendar again and we'll get you on my show. But networking to me isn't really that dirtiness of exchanging a business card. It's the showing up, building relationships, saying, how can I support you? And being genuine in that, and then seeing where that goes, because you really never know.
Yeah, I love that. That's so many things. Yeah, this is really, really good. I'm going to be on your show. I will book it. I will fill out all the things. I always get intimidated with like, okay, bio, you know, some people have like these 4-page application. I'm just like, okay, what are we getting
just so
into?
you know, when you book on my show, like you'll click the calendar link. I ask you for your name, your email address, and your phone number, and that's it.
Oh man, look at that. I can do that.
I believe in you.
So as you're talking, I'm just thinking, I've thought through this. I've been marinating on what's my next move in my video business. And last night I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. Years ago, I just made fun of I'm like, don't go, waste of time, you know. And this was back when we were doing brand videos for big companies that were spending $20,000 and more. And so I'd go to these Chamber of Commerce meetings, and like I wouldn't even want to tell people what I do, because I'm like, they can't afford. You know, you got the insurance guy, you've got the realtor lady, you got, and they're not spending $20,000 a year on marketing, period. So like, why are they going to buy a video? So anyway, it was a waste of time. But now that we've kind of crafted an offer that's like, wow, this is actually affordable. If you're an agent or whatever, and we're selling the result, I'm not selling a video, but we're selling the result of the video. It's going to help you save time. It's actually going to help you book more calls. It's going to help you make money. Like if you want a tool that's going to work 24/7 for you, that's going to set you apart from your competition and do this thing, like, let's talk. It's a lot different. Plus, it's a lot more affordable. Anyway, that's the reason why I've kind of changed. I pivoted. I was nervous to start telling people like, well, I go to the chamber. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce now. It's like, Ryan, you used to say like, don't do that. Well, with the right offer, you know, and then here's the other thing. With this specific chamber, there are large manufacturing companies, because we're in the Detroit metro area. There are a bunch of really massive companies that are a part of this chamber as well. So you don't just have the very small. So be picky, I think, with the chamber that you join. Whatever. There's my long.
I didn't mean to bash the idea of the Chamber of Commerce.
No, this is great.
But again, like it was that it's the insurance guy, it's the this, it's the that. But I think I didn't realize how to necessarily network back then. Right. Yeah. Like I was young, and all I saw were people handing out business cards. And I was like, well, I bet you if the one person in that room isn't trying to be like, here's my business card, but going, thanks for your business card, I'll follow up with you. Where does that lead? Where does that conversation go? And I didn't see that part of it. Right. Like it's just such a powerful tool for anybody to use. And I always say, like, get in the rooms you can. Yeah. I remember when I couldn't afford to be in the best rooms. I remember those days, but like, I was like, well, what room's for me then? How do I show up to that? And you just have to try different things.
Oh, this is good. So the end of my story, before I got so rudely interrupted.
Sorry.
I'm teasing. I'm at the Chamber of Commerce meeting last night, and I'm like, I should probably, the best follow-up, or one of the best follow-ups that I could have, is if I had a show that was for like local businesses, and I could say, hey, come to my studio. Because I always tell people, I'm like, hey, you should stop by the studio. You know, it's great meeting you. That's a good follow-up. Like, come check out the studio. It's cool. Like, we can talk, you know, about how we can support each other's businesses. And then they walk in and they're like, oh, wow, this is actually a legit studio. That's cool. But what if I was able to spend the time podcasting, especially in person, with some of these people that I really want to build relationship with? Great opportunity. So the other thing I just thought of, you know, when you're talking about what rooms can you get into, because it really is like when you can be physically in a room, the trust factor increases a bazillion percent. And so the likelihood of somebody wanting to connect with you, somebody wanting to know more about your business, and somebody considering maybe hiring you at some point, it's just like so much greater than sending a cold email or even a direct message to a connection that you have on LinkedIn or whatever. The in the room thing is so important. The amazing thing that we as filmmakers have, it's like I could say to you, Justin, hey, I'd love to come to your event. I don't want to pay for a ticket, but I will show up. I've got camera in hand. I'll do a couple of testimonials. I'll make a 60-second video. Normally I charge like $10,000 or $15,000 for this. Could you count my ticket have me come in, you'd probably say yes, or the likelihood of the people that I want to be in the room with would say like, dude, yes. What else can we do for you? So we have this superpower as filmmakers to get into almost any room with the thing that we can do. And then if we're doing that thing that we do for that client, then all of a sudden we're being put in front of potential clients. So like, what the heck? What are we doing? Thinking like, oh, it's just too hard to find work and I can't find clients. It's like, man, consider getting into some rooms.
Yeah. And 100% take you up on that offer because my tickets are affordable. But with that being said, that's also thinking outside of the box, right? Like show up, be different, do something different, right? Like there's a guy who you know as well, Mike Brennan, who sketches live events. Like what a genius way to be in the room. Obviously he charges for it. It's a business model of his, but just a great way. Hey, I'm creating this content that's guaranteed to get shared out. I've never seen any of his sketches not get shared out. Right. Yeah. So like just awareness, more eyes on you, more eyes on what you're trying to build. And I think it's just genius to think outside of the box when you're doing that. But the old way no longer works. And so you have to get creative. And what's that tool for you? For me, it's been podcasting. I get invited to go to events all the time, but I'm super protective of my podcast audience that I don't just do random interviews just to do them. But with that being said, like, I've been invited to so many different events as media, quote unquote media, to show up and be in the room and do these things. And I'm like, some of the times it makes sense. Sometimes they're just like reaching out to a bunch of podcasters to get people in the room. But, what is your vehicle is a question that I ask a lot of people. Mine happen to be podcasting. Is yours social media? Is yours blogging? Is yours writing a book? What's your medium to be a little bit different than somebody else? Is the key to making that difference. And like you said, like video, creating video is yours because that's a skill that most people do wrong. Right. Most people are definitely swinging and missing. They're not getting the right reach. They're not doing the right quality. And the level in which you do it is so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What, as people are thinking now, they're like, I wonder, like, should I start a podcast? If somebody is like in that spot of like, my intention with this episode wasn't to say like, hey, you should start a podcast. But even in my own thinking, now I'm thinking about, oh man, I probably should do like this local thing. I should really take advantage of creating more content and supporting the people in the chamber. But then also like, this is going to open a door to getting a lot more people to the studio and doing this thing. So in your mind, with the experience that you have, any certain characteristics or things that somebody should say, like, if you're not this, or this, maybe don't consider a podcast, maybe consider something else. Anything come to mind?
Yeah. It's so you can't teach people self-awareness. That's the problem. So I always say the greatest thing about podcasting is anybody can have a podcast. And the worst thing about podcasting is anybody can have a podcast.
Yeah.
And so like, number one, do you have a personality? Mm-hmm. I've been on some shows where there's no personality on the other end. And it's like, even just being a guest is like pulling teeth. But the second piece is like, are you truly curious? Are you actually interested in having those conversations? And I always like to tell these statistics when we talk podcasting. 78% of shows don't make it past their first 7 episodes. It's called pod fade because people think they're going to release their show and thousands of people are going to show up and they're going to listen and they're going to make all this money and they're going to grow this huge audience. They don't realize how much work goes into it. If you have the financial resources, outsource all of that stuff. Don't edit your own show. Don't do all the work. Have somebody else do it so you can just sit down and enjoy the conversation. And then the other piece to that is 80% of shows do less than 100 downloads an episode. And that is for the lifetime of their show. And no matter what they try to do to grow it, it doesn't work, right? There are other things. You start to buy ads and that'll help you a little bit and do these other things. But the reality is I speak at PodFest every single year for the last 8 years. And I can tell you the same people show up every year. They sit in every room that says how to grow your podcast. And I guarantee you their downloads are exactly where they were. I'm not saying any of this to discourage you. But I'm saying this to lay out a groundwork and a framework of like, here's the reality. Do you still want to do it after I tell you that? And if the answer is yes, then do it. And then find other ways to get creative and use it in other ways, right? Whether it's, creating content. I shared with you before we hit record, I had Kurt Angle on the show. That show on the audio side did 14,000 downloads, which it's higher than normal for my show. But then one clip with him and I did 140,000 views on a reel and on Instagram. And, I then went, okay, this episode, just from that one reel on the audio, has reached almost 150,000 people. eyeballs on me. These people who haven't seen me before now see me, see my brand, and they might go and listen more. They might say, hey, what's this Justin guy all about? How's he interviewing somebody like Kurt Angle? Like, what's he doing, right? That might lead to somebody interested in the mastermind or somebody interested in coming to my live event or just following me on Instagram and being somebody who's engaged and interested in what I'm creating. And so like think outside of the box. It's not always, hey, how many people are listening to the audio? It's how many people are you reaching? Potentially interviewing people who could be good clients of yours, right? Like, and then from a local standpoint, I encourage you to do it. Local podcasts are the easiest to get sponsors. It's the easiest to make money off of because you're super niched in. I forget the name of his show, but I remember he's in Salt Lake City because it's something Salt Lake. There's a guy who has a podcast that's based around Salt Lake and he makes 6 figures on advertising, but his downloads aren't massive. Like he's not doing massive numbers, but it's about that niche demographic of advertising.
Yeah. Dude, that's so good. I don't even think about advertising. Although I will say, man, right before COVID, through COVID, I had 2 sponsors. I was making like $7,000 a month on podcast sponsors. I'm like, holy crap. I've never started this show with the dream to make money with sponsorships. But then I was like, holy crap, this is like game changer. And then, whatever that faded, I didn't rebook spot. I haven't pursued it. I'm like, I probably should. It's probably low hanging fruit, but I love that idea because as I'm in the Chamber of Commerce, I'm looking at all these people that spend money to sponsor every single event. And, you've got platinum sponsor, title media sponsor, just all these. I'm like, oh my gosh, like there is a massive opportunity right here. I really like what we're talking about. Here's what I'll say. I've launched 1, 2, 3, I think I've had 4 shows over the course of my lifetime. This one, 400 something episodes. I mean, this is like, this one works. And I love doing it. And the guests, all the things. The other shows that I started, I guess -1 maybe. No, all of them, all 3 of them. I had the intention of getting clients from the people that I was interviewing. So I didn't care if I got 20 downloads or 1 million downloads. My hope was to meet this person, get into their network, and hopefully they would hire me. Here's what I didn't do, and I'm curious if you have any thoughts on this. I was not strategic with before the interview started and after the interview started, where I could have talked about what's the next step here outside of just content. I had somebody on my show probably 6 months ago, and his strategy is to guest and then to say, hey, do you have, a couple minutes after when it's over? And he explained to me the strategy. And then he's like, do you have a couple minutes? I'm like, I actually don't, because I got to hop on another thing, but I really wanted to like hear his pitch and how he did this, but that was his thing. So these 3 shows that I did, all of them were at least, I think all of them were at least like 20 episodes. I got 0 business out of all of those. And the problem was because I was just hoping that they would have been like, oh, this is a great guy, and we should hire him for video. But I didn't set up a pathway. I didn't give them a clear understanding of how we could help them. It was just like, hey, thanks for being on the show. This is great. We'll get you the clips and then you can share them. And that was it. So any ideas or advice? Because I feel like with the right strategy, a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of filmmakers and other business people are like, yeah, I'll start a show with the same intention that I had of like, oh, I'll bring on people that I want to do business with and then hope that they hire me later. But if you're not actually really clear with them on how they could do that, it's probably not going to happen. So don't do that unless, Justin, solve this problem.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm a very basic person. I like to do things super simple. Actually, in 2022, I got rid of all of my websites. I now have a website again because I host a live event. And so when that came back, I was like, okay, it's a lower ticket. I need that place I can go click and buy a ticket. But I got rid of all of my websites, and I go, I think people are overthinking these things. Like, do I need a funnel? Do I need a website? Do I need a free lead magnet? Do I need this? And in 2022, I made more money in my business than I'd ever done before. I actually sold out a retreat that was $5,000 a ticket off of 1 Instagram story that said, hey, or two Instagram stories. The first one was, if I created this, and it gave a bullet point of like, great location, high level people, high level thing, whatever it said, right? And the next one was, would that be something you're interested in? Yes, no. Every single person that clicked yes, I sent a message to, hey, I saw you click yes. I have this idea, would love to hop on a call and talk to you about it and see if it even makes sense.
Yeah.
So we get on a call with them, close the deal, and then move from there. And it wasn't even a sales call, it was a simple invite.
Yeah.
And so for me, how I've utilized my show in the past to get clients, and I don't do this anymore. So I used to own a podcast production company like so many people in podcasting. And I would interview people and people that I liked and who I thought I'd want to work with. At the end of it, I would simply go, you're really good at this. You should have a podcast. And they would go, well, I've thought about it. I just don't really know what to do. And I would go, well, yeah, I actually do that for people. Is that something you'd be interested in exploring? And it's a simple yes or no, right? If they say yes, great, we'll hop on another call and we'll explore it and see if it's a thing. And if the answer is no, or no, I wasn't interested in podcasting, I just like being a guest, cool, no big deal. Because for me, it's not necessarily about, okay, what's the process? It's the, how do I build the relationship? Because then if they're not interested and I tried to hard sell them, and they walked away, they're not going to refer anybody to me. But if I did it the right way and I was engaging and I've built a relationship and we've built rapport, they'll start referring people. They'll go to a networking event. They'll run into somebody and say, hey, I know this Ryan guy does this video production. I know you were just talking about it. Let me introduce you. But I feel like if you try and hard sell them after a podcast interview, they're going to be like, ugh. Like I've been on those shows, right? Where I get interviewed and they like try and keep me on and they try and sell me. And I'm like, I'm not interested. Like there was like a Facebook ads funnel builder. And I was like, dude, I'm the anti guy. Like you shouldn't have even had me. You shouldn't have even had me on your podcast. And now you're trying to sell me. And so like, you know, that's a person that I go, well, I don't want them in my circle anymore.
You're right.
But I believe in funnels. I have somebody in my mastermind who does it at a super high level. And I think it really, really works, but it doesn't work for me. I got so worried about the analytics on the back end that I was like, oh, tweak this, do that. And my brain was so busy that I wasn't able to be present in all the things. And so finally I was like, let me get rid of it. And so for me, it's about curiosity. And I believe curiosity is a superpower. And so I'm curious. Have you ever thought about doing a podcast because you're really good at this? Hey, have you ever thought about creating video content around your business because it's the #1 reach for online, whatever, say your spiel. Have you ever thought about it? And it's a yes or no. And then you stop there. If it's a no, we don't like doing that, cool. Then that's not a fit, but it's just that organic way of doing it. And I find that for me, at least, doing it that way, and it's simply being an invite. Hey, like no hard feelings if it's a no, but I think you'd be a really good fit to be in my mastermind. And we'd love to have you. Right? Like it's so much better that way. Because then all of a sudden I force them into it. They say yes. All of a sudden 4 months into the mastermind, they hate all the people in it. That's the worst thing they've ever experienced. And then I got to deal with it. But if they come in and it was a simple invite, like #1, I know their personality matches with mine. And so they're going to be a good fit anyway. But say they are 4 months in, like, I don't like these people. This is weird, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, hey, that's on you, buddy. Like, I just simply invited you. I did not hard sell you. You know, it is what it is. And so for me, I like the non-friction way of really getting to the breadcrumbs of like, hey, look, I can support you. Here's what it is. If it's in your budget, great. If not, no big deal. Let's stay connected and see how we can support each other.
Yeah, I love that, dude. I think, and that's my style. Like but to have the tool or just even that little framework to say like, oh yeah, it's as simple as that. Like when we were talking last night, at the chamber thing, this one guy, Bob, was asking me about, you know, how I get work. And I'm like, well, I used to feel like I had to convince people of the value of video. And he's like, so who's your ideal client? That was what he was trying to ask me. And how do I go after them? And I was like, well, ideal client is somebody who believes in the power of story. Like if you don't believe that can work in your marketing, like I'm not going to try to convince you. I'll create content to educate people on that. And then maybe somebody will one day, but if you're like, well, sell me on video, it's like, well, you know, do you invest in marketing? Well, yeah, I mean, sort of. Okay. Well, do you believe that story matters and that, you know, your story could impact somebody and that emotion-based things that actually works when selling? If they're not all in on that, it's like, okay, well, like, here's what I think. And if that's not a fit, let's not continue this conversation, but definitely want to support you. And if I can introduce you to anybody or anything like that, I love that. It's easy. It's not salesy. And I think that pitch, you know, if you have a show, great, do that after the show. But that's also when you're meeting people, like you're networking, you're hanging out. It's like, hey, have you guys ever thought about, you know, do you do video? Just that curiosity, be curious. And most filmmakers, we're doing interviews, right? We have to be curious in the work that we're creating. So we have this ability So if we can just apply it to how we're approaching business development, like stay curious, and that's going to inform a lot. And you don't have to hard sell people. The right people are going to connect. They're like, I kind of like it. Tell me more about like, what is your guys' process anyway? Like, what does that even look like? And then, do people do this, and does it actually work for their business? Oh man. Yeah. Let me tell you a story.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, man. And I've been through the ringer with all different types of clients throughout my years, whether it's, coaching on building out their brand, or coaching in the podcasting space, or coaching in business. The people who are worried about your price point are the worst people to work with. The people who are unsure of what this thing that you're doing for them is actually doing for them, they're the worst people to work with. And like, I go on vacation for a week 5 or 6 times a year. And I will send out an email to my clients and let them know my schedule. I go, I'm not available from this date to this date, this date to this date, whatever. And I will not be reachable. Like everything you need to get me needs to be, in my inbox or my team's inbox by this date, this time, or it's not getting done. And I will not be reachable. And I go on these vacations with my family without a laptop. I don't look at my emails. I'm not locked in. The only thing I do when I'm on vacation is run my mastermind calls, which that only falls by, like, we're heading to the Jersey Shore next week, right? Ocean City, New Jersey. My mastermind call is Wednesday at 11 o'clock. I don't really like the beach anyway. I'm going to go hop up to the house and run my 90-minute call, and then I'll be back, right? Because I enjoy doing that. But the cool part is, even with my mastermind, if I said, hey, I'm on vacation that week, do you guys mind if we shifted a week? They'll be like, yeah, no big deal. But I enjoy doing it, and I like staying on the schedule that we have. So for me, I'm like, if I have to hard sell you, I don't want to work with you anyway, because you're going to be a pain, and you're going to be the problem, and you're going to be the reason I'm not working 15 hours a week. So like, I'm not going to deal with that. And so like, there's so many fish out there, right? So like, why are you worrying about that one who you need to like keep working at and keep going after and keep going after and keep going after? Like, that to me is nonsense. But again, I like, podcasting is such a great tool. And I always say, like, look, if I emailed a CEO, say I'm dealing with CEOs, and I emailed a CEO and I said, hey, I'm working on this thing. I think you guys would really benefit from it. Would you want to hop on a call? They're going to say no, or just ghost you. But if you email them and go, hey, I really love what you're doing with your business. My podcast is geared around kind of what you're doing. I would love to have you on the show. It's going to be a yes. You're then going to begin to build rapport. It's a 45-minute conversation, however long you go. And from there, you're going to be able to build that relationship and sell them, or even sell them after that 45-minute call, because it's your target audience, right? Like, if you're somebody who needs to work with Fortune 500 companies, you should be talking at SHRMs all over the country, because the HR women and men are the key into the CEO, the key into, hey, like this, we're the people who make the decisions. Go talk to SHRMs and do it for free, because that'll lead to the $50,000 contract on the back end. Like, understand you got to talk to the right person. And then the goal is, hey, I want to support you, whatever that looks like, whether that's my business, a referral, or whatever, I want to support you. And that's just the approach that I've taken, and it seems to work.
I love that. Okay. So this is ignorance here. This is the second time this has popped up in just a short amount of time. Hours. SHRMs that's SHRM, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Don't tell me that I don't know the S, but HR, right? Human Resources Manager.
Yes.
What's the S?
I have no idea.
It doesn't matter. You don't need to know it. You just need to know SHRMs. Somebody reached out on LinkedIn and they had SHRM, and I met with this lady. She does job placement. Has built this amazing, like, massive company, and she was asking me. She's a member of the chamber, and she was like, "Hey, have you reached out to this?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "You need to talk to HR here." I'm like, "Really, HR?" And she's like, "Yeah, like those are the people that are gonna get the stuff in front of the people." I'm like, oh, okay. So that's a great gold nugget. Who cares what the S is in SHRMs? But that is a place that you should be spending some time as you're reaching.
They're the gatekeepers, right? Like, I was in medical sales management for a very long time. And so it was the receptionist at the front desk was the gatekeeper. The doctor didn't matter. Like, she was the one who was faxing out the scripts in order to, order the thing. Right. And I was in DME, not in pharmaceuticals. I would say it's been a long day, but it's only 10:45 in the morning. But but as far as that, like, I was doing like CPAP BiPAPs, nebulizers, stuff like that. And like I know that's the person I have to go to. That's the person I have to build the relationship with. Just like HR is the person to get into. Like I can see you speaking at SHRMs all over the country, and then them recommending you to the CEO, being like, "Look, here's a great opportunity for our business to grow, to reach new people, to do all these things." And yes, ultimately it's the CEO who signs the checks, but it's the HR person who lets you in the door. I have a dear friend of mine who's spoken at my event a number of times. His name's Andre Young, who's built a massive speaking business about leadership, and it started with regional SHRMs. He did really, really well, started to land clients at like $15,000. He'd go in and speak. And now he's charging $50,000, $70,000, $80,000 because he went from regional SHRMs to national SHRMs because he did so well regionally. They're like, "Hey, we want you to speak at the national one." And he charges a pretty penny to speak, but he'll talk to SHRMs for free all day long because that leads to 10, 15 companies who are interested in at least learning more, right? And so like, it's you know, we've been talking a lot about lead generation and sales and all these things in this conversation. But the question you need to ask yourself is, are you talking to the right audience? Are you focused on the right people? And that's twofold, right? If you're a solopreneur like me and a lot of people in my mastermind, they have teams, but they're usually virtual and all the things, right? Like are you talking to the right person? Meaning, is your content talking to the right person? Are you saying you want to serve this crowd? Is that the crowd you actually should be serving, right? Like all those questions of like, are you talking to the right person is the question people need to be asking themselves first. Because you're going to just be wasting your breath if you're trying to sell something to people who are not interested in what you're selling. You know, when I started in 2019, you know, my personal story is I had a 1.7 GPA in high school. My mom was in the middle of a 20-year battle with opioids, and my dad was in jail. 6 months before I launched the podcast, my mom lost her life to opioids. And so my audience that I built, because that was my story and that's where I was coming from and where I needed to be at the time, was a bunch of people whose parents were addicts. They weren't entrepreneurs. They weren't people necessarily looking to grow. They just wanted to see somebody thriving who went through what they went through, right? And as I evolved as a person and learned from all these masters on my show and started to grow and build a business and do so much, yes, that's still a massive, important part of my story. But it's not who I'm speaking to anymore. And so if I was continuing to try and build community for those people, it wouldn't hit anymore, right? Like, and it just like back in 2019, you know, even before that, I would say, you know, 2018, when I was really in the pits of it and the despair of it all, if I was trying to sell business advice, nobody was buying. So it's all about, are you talking to the right person, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's really good. Powerful. Thanks for sharing that part of your story. I do want to, selfishly, I don't know if it's selfish. You know, Mike Kim, we have a mutual connection. I've been in Mike's mastermind for a few years. Love him to death. He spoke at your event. He kind of explained, he gave our group the context and the setup, and it sounds like it wasn't really a talk that he's done before. Any takeaway or any like inspiration from his sharing that would be worth just sharing here?
So it's funny. Mike is a big reason I'm still an entrepreneur. I'll say that first. Back in 2018, I was broke. I was trying to figure it out. The podcast took off before my business did. And so like people started asking me to speak at events before I had any money as an entrepreneur. I still had a day job, and then I ended up getting fired from that day job. And I had a choice to make. I could either go speak at this event or pay my rent. Like that was literally my choice at that moment. And so I made the smart decision, and I went down to Florida and spoke at this event, and Mike was a speaker there. And we went out, I'll shorten the story, but we went out for drinks one night. Mike ended up paying for everybody's drinks, thank God, because I didn't know if my credit card would go through. But Mike, in that conversation that I had with him, because he was sitting to the left of me in this circle, changed my perspective of entrepreneurship and my worth so much that I went home and made $22,000 in 3 weeks and never looked back. And so ever since then, I always wanted Mike to speak at my events, but my events, my speakers are not X's and O's. So he was a branding X's and O's guy. And I'm like, it just didn't fit. And he invited me onto his podcast for a second time, and we were talking, and this was probably 6 months before my last event, maybe a year before my last event. And he is like, after the interview, he's like, dude, I want to do more of what you're doing. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I want to connect with people who've been through what I've been through, and I want to help them, and I want to help them thrive, and I want to tell my story. And I was like, do you want to do it at my event? And so that's how it started. And he formulated this keynote of things he would touch on in his emails and stuff like that. But he never went as deep as he did. But I think the thing for me with his keynote was really about forgiveness, right? The power of forgiveness, even if somebody hurts you, understanding their intention. Like, was their intention to hurt you, or were they people that were just navigating this crazy human experience for the first time, just like us, right? And so it was a super emotional talk. It was also fun and funny because he's Mike and all those things, which actually I gave him permission because unfortunately his dad did pass since then. But I gave him permission to upload that keynote to his YouTube. So you guys can go to his YouTube and watch the keynote from Growth Now Summit live. It's super powerful. But for me, it was really about forgiveness and acceptance of who people are. And at the end of the day, it's okay. Right. Like it's okay. And it was super powerful, man. And I'm glad I was able to give him that opportunity to give that talk. And I hope that he continues to give that talk because I think it's a game changer for so many people who are hurting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's really, really good. Yeah, I do love that. It makes it a lot easier to, I think, get to go through life. I'm sure most all of us could probably think through a family member or two that have hurt us, that don't seem to care, that don't ask questions, that don't lean in. And you can convince yourself of a lot of things about that person. Super interesting. I'm totally going to pivot here, but I'll just as an example. Last year, I see a therapist once in a while, and I had some issues, and I wanted to walk through this stuff with her, and so she gave me some tools. Sat down with my two sisters, and I shared this story with them. Growing up, our parents got divorced when I was 12. My older sister's 2 years older than me, and my younger sister's 4 years younger than me. And I really wanted to hear their perspective, but I had no idea the way that I processed our parents' divorce and the things that I heard when they sat us down in our living room. I remember my dad was over here on my left, and my mom was kind of straight in front of me. And I just remember them saying, like, we're going to get divorced. And, we decided you're going to live with Dad. And I just remember, I was, I think 11. And so my younger sister's like 7 and my older sister's 13. I share this story and some of the hurts and the things that I heard and walked away from that story. And then to hear both of my sisters share their perspective, I thought their perspective was the same as mine. And I thought the things that they heard and they remembered were the same. And oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. So then all of the, the stories that I've told myself, the things that I've believed for the last, sorry, this turned into therapy for me, but
no, you're good.
The last 30 something years, I'm like, wow, I never knew their perspective. I never really understood their version of this story. The same story, I thought it was the same story. So anyway, I think there's something in that, that Mike shared. I got to watch that talk and just like so powerful. But I think it just makes it easier to go through life, more open-handed, more forgiving, more accepting of where people are at, and just knowing that this is the first time that they've done this too. And sure, we're all going to mess up. And my poor kids, they're going to have stories about their dad who was always around and always, they're going to be on the therapist couch. Like, my dad, he wanted to be involved in everything.
Yeah.
It's like, wait,
dang helicopter parents. For my parents also got a divorce when I was 12. Now I have two, I was the youngest. I have 2 older sisters. But that entire landscape of life after that, it was different, right? My one sister escaped to college, so she wasn't even in it. Yeah. My other sister got to an age where she was old enough, she moved in with a boyfriend, but I was there, man. Like, I was stuck in all of it. And so all of our experiences were so totally different. Yeah. What's funny about the whole divorce at 12, I don't remember exactly when they told us. Like, I don't remember the sit down. I know there was one. I don't remember the sit down and when they told us or whatever. But I remember a sense of relief. Because my parents fought every day, screaming, throwing cups and plates at each other. Like, it was wild, bro. And so like so divorce is an interesting thing, and I think back then it wasn't as common. I remember being like the only kid out of my friend circle whose parents got a divorce. But the crazy thing is, out of that friend circle now, when I look back, all their parents are now divorced. And so like they just took longer. They waited for the kids to be out of the house. But yeah, it's just such an interesting thing. And so that's going back to what I said earlier, like, curiosity is a superpower. It's a superpower, man. And then as far as like our kids who we're raising, like, I've told my kids, I'm like, look, when you're older, I encourage you to go to therapy. It's a good thing. And you're going to talk about me, and that's okay. Yeah. I'm doing the best I can. Right. Like,
that's so good. Justin, this is awesome, man. I'm so grateful. I can't remember. I think it was Cabrina. She's like, you got to know Justin. It was a handful of people like, you got to meet Justin. I see why. I'm grateful that we got this time. I will book time with you. How can people follow along if they're interested in the mastermind or just anything that your event, any of that stuff?
Yeah, man. So wherever they listen to this podcast, they can search Growth Now Movement. It'll come up. I always say, listen to a couple episodes. If you like it, click subscribe, come on the journey with me. And if they're interested in the live event, it's growthnowsummit.com. One thing I've always done is I've made it affordable because I remember the days where I couldn't afford to be in the room. So it's an affordable event. I think the prices right now are $147 and $247. I'm announcing the first speaker soon, so the price will go up in a little bit. But yeah, come hang out. Like, the room is a powerful freaking room where you get to connect with amazing people. Actually, one of Mike Kim's best friends finally bought a ticket, came to the event because he wanted to see Mike speak. He was one of the first 5 people to buy tickets next year. And so, like, you know, it's about community. It's about connection. So come hang out. Yes, great speakers. The speaker lineups that I have are unmatched, but the most important part of the people in the room, man. So Ryan, thank you so much for this opportunity, dude. This has been great.
So good. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. If you got something out of today's conversation, do me a favor, share it with a friend or post it on your socials. Tag me at Ryan Coral or at Grow Your Video Business. I'd love to know what resonated with you. If you've got a question or takeaway, drop a comment wherever you're listening or watching this. You can also shoot me a message. I read every single one. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We've got more stories, strategies, and behind the scenes insights coming your way to help you build a business that you love. Keep creating, keep sharing your story, and keep showing up. I'm cheering you on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.